I was sitting in my office the other day doing some work, and my cat was like screaming at me. And I was like, what the fuck? He just would not stop. So I finally like turned and I picked him up and was just like petting him, and he was like screaming. As it turns out, he was screaming because he had a dingleberry.
Okay.
Um,
Clear. Oh God. Okay. So what did you do?
yeah, good. Thank you for asking. I said, God fucking damn it. And because I have a long haired cat, I have dingleberry,
Scissors.
no, like an electric razor, like the kind one might trim their beard with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I took care of it. I shaved the dingleberry off of my cat's ass hair.
That is beautiful. So, as a dog owner,
Hmm.
uh, one of my dogs, the older of the two and the much bigger of the two, has a tendency, and I think it's really kind of unavoidable for him to eat hair that is on the ground.
Incredible.
Like it just sometimes it gets stuck. Like he's eating food, there's hair. Like my wife sheds a lot,
Yeah,
and
well,
occasionally when I take him for a walk, he will get a piece of poop
yes, I am familiar
stuck
with this.
outside with the hair
Hmm.
in, right? So he'll go to
As the
squat.
bungee cord.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly. It goes to squat, he poops, and then he gets up, and then you can
Just,
tell that it's stuck, right? And then he won't go anywhere. He's like, no, I'm not moving. Like
I'm not done. There's still
there's
stuff
this
back there.
thing, right? And then he'll try to, and I'm like, dude, come on, like you got to get it out. But a lot of times he is incapable of doing the last little push out that needs to happen because the hair is, the sphincter can only do so much.
It really can, yeah. Limited
So
ability.
I have had to, on more than one occasion, get a poo bag on the hand and physically pull the poop out of my dog's butt. So
It's love.
it truly, truly is.
Yeah.
If you've ever had to get any kind of colon check at the doctor
Mm.
and they want you to bring in a stool sample,
Mm-hmm.
the thought and actual action of touching my own feces in any manner, like even if it's separated by a plastic cup,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
makes me want to throw up all of my internal organs.
Yes.
Yet I somehow find the strength to pull poop physically out of my dog's butt with just a single thin piece of plastic bag protecting me. That is truly love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say that if my most loved human had a piece of poop dangling from their
Mhm.
butt hair and they needed support removing it, I would stop to think about that way longer than it took me to act to just like get the dingleberry off of my cat's asshole.
It would be
Just
like that.
just backyard and hose would be the option.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just like
not at all.
can you just like get in the shower? Like
It's like that meme where the kid is like holding the gun, like crying that he has
uh-huh.
to, like, I'm sorry, I just have to put you out of your misery. Like,
We just can't. It can't.
this hurts me more than it hurts
Yeah,
you.
I actually out loud said that too. Like every time I have to take care of a dingleberry, I say that to my cat. Listen, this hurts me a lot, man. We'll get through it together. So, it's been a good week.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a better way to segue into talking about the mayoral race.
Perf. Let's do it.
1, 2. Voices, the things they said. Voices, some from those dead. All the voices heard. Voices, things we say. Voices, they're in your head. All the voices heard.
Yo, everybody. We are here with the Voices River City, and I'm Shannon.
Oh, and I'm Gabe.
And I'm PJ.
Can you believe we're back again? It's been so long since we've sat together.
If you're watching this on YouTube, we just happen to wear the same clothes multiple days in a row.
I always wear the same clothes.
Yeah.
I am
Right.
I am in my conservation era. So
It's giving hibernation.
It's giving cozy.
Exactly.
It's giving save the planet. Yeah. So, okay, here's the thing. Like, oh yeah, go to patreon.com/voicesrivercity and support the show. I mean, I'm saying that with not a lot of enthusiasm, but I do, mean it. We've got bills to pay. We've got podcast platform. Well, I don't know what the hell it's called. We got subscriptions to pay for that make sure that this show gets into your ear holes. And we do that with your support. So consider supporting us and following us also on all the social medias. This is the show. This is the show that we have been waiting for, right? Like, so our intention, this is gonna be a shorter show than most of you are used to, but it's a teaser for what's coming next, because after this episode we are then going on our holiday break, which is extended. It's longer than it has been in the past on account of having to get our shit together and figure some things out in terms of who else is going to be on the show in our co-host corral. And since I'm mentioning that, if you would like to apply to be one of the co-hosts on Voices River City, head over to Twitter and the Google form is there for you. We are interested. If you are interested, we might be.
Let's see if we match.
Have heavily underlined the might.
If you don't hear from us within a week of submitting your application, it's because we aren't interested. Said with love, XOXO. Anyway, this is the episode that we've been waiting for. Kempa and Sky are the dearly departed Voices River City co-hosts, and the reality is that we couldn't talk the shit that we wanted to talk when they were sitting in the room here with us, but now they're not, so we can talk about the mayoral race. And there is so much to say. How we are going to keep this show short, I don't know, but we're gonna try. Let's, like, real quick, who's running for mayor?
Who isn't running for mayor?
Fair. You know what? Our voter guide episode is
Jeff isn't running. Thank God.
Jeff Harris, former District 3 council member. Is that right? District 3? Yes.
Yes.
Well, first up is probably the person that I think has, I wouldn't even say like maybe the most name recognition given their history, is Kevin McCarty. Kevin McCarty,
currently assembly member, well known. Name recognition, well known prog Also made a really bad call with the American River Parkway, Prague, air quotes, for the purposes of the people voting. Like,
Yeah.
So Kevin McCarty is running. We have also Dr. Richard Pan, who
famous to all the COVID deniers out there who didn't want to get the vaccine and insisted there are microchips in it. They were no fans of his.
that is
So
how we
you're saying
succinctly
there's no.
introduce. Noted.
Got it.
Makes sense.
Pan, Kevin McCarty, and then there's also another doctor, Flojan Kofer. Not someone who has been in public office before, but is very familiar with the things related to public office, epidemiologist. I don't know. I've never met
Public
her,
policy.
so I don't know what she's like. And
we're being completely we have no idea. We're just approaching
Heard of her
neutrally.
Yeah.
Heard of her.
I've seen her on the internet. And
last but not least,
Mhm.
is it last or is there more than
That's it? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. All right.
No. Yeah. Last but maybe not least, former city councilman out of District 4, first gay elected.
Out gay.
Right. First openly gay elected on the dais, Steve Hansen. So it's an incredible field, is what we're saying.
Famous for losing to a friend of the show, Katie Valenzuela.
Yes. Yeah. Famous for that.
I believe also maybe connected to Hansen Soda. I'm just making that up, but we can pretend.
I was like, whoa, really? What? I didn't know that. So, okay. So Flo is running for office. She is the only woman in the field. She is, if elected, she would be the first Black woman mayor in Sacramento. And this is absolutely terrifying to the establishment, right? Like, she doesn't have giant coffers behind her.
Just her last name.
Her coffer. Her last
for
name is
transparency.
Kofer. Yeah. But she has, her name recognition comes from her work as a commissioner for the city. She was on the Active Transportation Commission and then was on the Measure U committee. And that really, her time on the Measure U committee really sort of like amplified the work that she does, the framework that she pulls her decisions from, because she was very open about how the city was using money, the Measure U tax money. Like, it was the Measure U committee's job to give recommendations to the council, and she attempted to do
the fact
that.
that she literally advocated for the committee because she knew that the mayor was going around promising the sky and everything else to everyone that he came across, and she was like looking at a calculator being like, this doesn't math. You're not going to get this much money of the amount that you're promising. We need to have a committee overseeing this, and actually promoted the idea of it becoming a thing.
Right. So I think a lot of people would like know her from that, people who are who don't sort of like run in the same circles. And we bring up that the establishment was terrified because like, not soon after the announcement that she was running, and the first what is it? Your like the financials have to be filed, and that like all of that becomes public. The one and
Fundraising.
only, the fundraising. Yes, sorry. Like, why are words hard for me? The one and only Steve Maviglio. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for the man. Decides to file a lawsuit against the Dr. Flo for Mayor campaign. Does anybody want to talk about that? Talk about what? Talk about the nooks and the crannies of that, PJ.
So the nooks and the crannies are that she announced that she had raised nearly $160,000 over the course of the first 3 months of her campaign, and he didn't like that. That looked bad because none of the other candidates had raised nearly as much, and he had an issue with the fact that she had started fundraising before the city code says you were allowed to start fundraising. And this comes from the fact that basically the city has to move its election dates and all the associated dates every 2 years back and forth depending on which month the election falls. And in the past, typically the fundraising period has mirrored the campaign period. It's 12 months prior to the election. Unlimited amount of money that you can raise. But what had happened is that the last time the Cindy Cuppy, our Minnie Cuppy, our favorite friend, didn't go back and change the dates and run it through the council to be approved. And so basically what happened is that the dates were mismatched. Basically it said you can start fundraising in July, but you can only start, you can only start fundraising in July, but you can start your campaigns in April. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. The entire point of campaigning is to raise money. Why don't these dates match up? And the campaign checked multiple times, starting at the beginning of April, to check with the office and see like, hey, so what's going on? Are these matched up? Can we do this? Should we be, because our understanding is 12 months. Why is it 9 months this 1 year out of all the other ones? And basically received like almost nothing back the majority of the times they tried to contact them. Basically did their due diligence.
I think that she officially called it in the report a little whoopsie doozy. It's just
a little whoopsie.
Yeah. Just like,
yeah. So this is a huge thing, right? Like, this is a lawsuit that has been filed against a candidate for mayor, alleging that they have essentially like abused their candidacy by raising too much money, and like the impacts of which could shut down a person's campaign if it were legitimate, right? Like, if the claims were substantive. But this is not, like, this is just the first of many attacks that the Kofor campaign will field from the establishment. And it became clear not only through, like, there was an opinion piece that was published on October 18th, written by Tom Phillip, saying, yo, this is whack. Plenty of people on social media coming out and pointing to the obvious, bullshit that Mavigli was throwing. But because of all of this, there did have to be a formal process, and the ethics committee of the Sacramento City Council had to convene and hear the complaint and decide whether or not there actually was a violation. And there was an independent investigator that did the work of deciding writing a report, an unbiased report about whether or not the campaign had violated code. And it actually, like, so this happened, was it 2 weeks ago?
That the commission came out?
Yeah. I
The
can't
report,
remember.
it was on the 24th, I think, or
Okay.
23rd.
I really thought that was going to be like an all-nighter of a thing, like anticipated that it was going to get real yelly.
Well, and Steve didn't even show up for the event. So
Steve did not show up. Steve Maviglio did not show up. Flo and her lawyer were real prepared, gave their the presentation from the independent investigator. They gave their Flo and her lawyer said what they had to say. And there was a quorum for the ethics commission with 3 people, and they unanimously voted that no violations had occurred.
right.
So
What a waste of fucking time.
what a wild waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of so much in like just this is like classic power and control. Like, I am a capitalist white man authoritarian, you will not do the thing. Like, just this guy Steve Maviglio is such fucking garbage. And
I mean,
for a person who claims to give a shit about the city, he is sure comfortable wasting fucking money and
Mhm.
talking a lot of hateful garbage. But what do we expect from such people? Certainly not more.
definitely not. And I think that there, potentially some evidence that Steve Maviglio might also run a couple of different accounts on social media where he tries to hide behind anonymity to make kind of ridiculous accusations and attacks. I won't go into that because I don't have verification that is true. But this lawsuit to me, like, one represented the first step in just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, but also I think from their perspective was like a slam fucking dunk. They thought
100%.
like this was it. Like their problems were going to be over. The candidate that they didn't want in the race was going to be out, and that like there was no way that this wasn't going to be the epic dumpster fire that it ended up being. And also just like the overall professionalism from Flo's campaign handling this situation, where it was just like, we got the receipts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we reached out for clarification numerous times, and we were following how we understood what is logical to deduce from these rules. And then where we had questions, we asked and got no support. So
Yep.
like,
I mean, simply that they like did not laugh in the face of all of this, right? Like it was and to be fair, like they couldn't because it was, this was there's a lot of legality involved, but it was handled so well, and I think is just a reminder that like this campaign is not here for show, right? It's here to actually affect change and to certainly like call into question the status quo. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's next, and hopefully, I mean, I wish I could say that confidently that there's probably not going to be any more bullshit, but there certainly will be. And and that's that, I guess. What is very cool about election season is that everybody feels like they need to say something about everything.
mhm.
And
Oh yeah.
so I don't know if everyone has heard, but there is currently kind of, you know, like a huge thing happening with Israel and Palestine, and thousands upon thousands of people are dead, and people are systematically being eliminated, and there apparently there is only one side that you are allowed to take in this whole thing. and that is the side of Israel. And if you take the side of the freedom for Palestinians, you are in big trouble, and you're a terrible person, and you yeah, you're trash. And this has become a huge thing on social media for candidates, also for sitting elected officials. You may or may not remember Phil Cerna's balls and how the conversation around his balls came up. It was because of Israel and Palestine. So this has had an impact on the race, right? On the mayoral race, as early as we are in it, and it is really something to watch. Our friend Steve Hansen has said some things. Thoughts?
And I mean, like, he didn't even address this. Is what I think is so funny about political campaigns and the kind of independent but parallel race for endorsements, or not independent but dependent and parallel race for endorsements, is that, like, you have a bunch of people and organizations who make an effort to you know, kind of align their name or the organization's name with a particular political candidate, and then the political candidate is meant to answer for those people or organizations and the things that they say or do. And I get why that happens. It's like, you know, when David Duke fucking endorses Donald Trump, people are like, hey, why is this former Klan leader like endorsing you? Maybe you're saying something that this person, you know, likes. So I understand why they do it. But Steve Hansen had a particularly spicy take on the Democratic Socialists of America's endorsement of Flo's campaign, and the accusation that the DSA, in their support for the end of the apartheid state and for Palestinian freedom, somehow was equivalent to supporting, obviously, the slaughter of innocent Israeli civilians and Hamas as a quote unquote terrorist organization, and then demanded that Flo answer for that statement by the DSA because they endorsed her, which is, to me, hilarious for multiple reasons, and I'll shut up in a second because I am talking a lot. But like, the DSA is a massive organization. And to their credit, and also one of their biggest critiques, is because of that, they have a pretty wide variety of ideological tendencies that exist within the organization, and that they're not even monolithic as an org. Like, there are people in the organization who believe all sorts of different things. Some of them don't, you know, there are some people in that organization that are absolute, like, 100% Marxists. There are some people that are like, you know, like, I'm kind of more like Rosa Luxemburg or whatever. You know, there's a wide variety of folks in the org, and for the DSA in Sacramento to make a statement, or the DSA nationally to make a statement, those things aren't aligned, you know. And so to demand that the candidate answer for one of their endorsement statements, to me, in this situation, shows their fundamental misunderstanding of the organization that's endorsing them, and also was incredibly opportunistic. Again, throwing shit at a wall, seeing what sticks.
Totally.
Super opportunistic to take the time to try to win political points off the back of a fucking like genocide. So I mean, like, Steve Hansen out there showing his ass.
Yeah. I mean,
and it doesn't look good. It's got dingleberries on it.
it's got a lot of dingleberries on it. There is no. I don't I understand. I understand why a person like Steve Hansen does what he does in the midst of all of this. It's, it's because you have a bunch of fucking idiots who just eat that shit up. Like, taking
well, they know where the money's coming from too.
Yeah,
So they're tracking
yeah.
where the money's coming from. There's an immense propaganda game on behalf of both Israel and the United States. And so that's a lot to push back against. And they understand that the majority of voters out there don't understand nuance, haven't been tracking international affairs, probably haven't even been tracking national affairs. They know they can get away with pretty much saying whatever because they know there's like this kind of generic respect for the notion of Israel throughout the country. And so if we just play to that, people would be like, oh yeah, that's bad. Holocaust bad. Not liking Israel bad. Okay, I got that. It's just like,
yeah, the absence of nuance and historical context in all of this is such garbage, and the willingness to be complicit in the erasure of an entire group of people is disgusting. Like,
well, especially when the terminology being used on one side is literally things like nuking Gaza and mowing the lawn and flattening it and making it a tent city. Like, none of this is leaving any question. Like, how is there still discussion about it?
Yeah, I mean, let us also not forget that I think the stat is that like half of the population living in Gaza are children. And we have candidates for elected office saying that we should continue to support just carpet bombing Gaza. Like, it's fucking gross. It's disgusting. And I don't think that, like, Steve Hansen's bullshit is not the end of any of this, because since the time that that happened, the war crimes that are being committed have only continued. The death toll has only risen, and the state that Gaza finds itself in becomes more and more bleak by the day. So I think we're really going to get to see some things. We're really going to get to see like where people stand, are the candidates, where they stand. And honestly, this is the time where you just shut the fuck up. Like, if you can't get on the side of let's not murder a bunch of people, then just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And that's not happening. So that's cool.
Especially with like, no, at least maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong in this statement, but I'm not jumping online to find out like the opinion of local politicians when it comes to, like, I really don't care what like, I mean, I guess I do care what they think, but like, in the sense that they have power in some respect, obviously not over the situation, but like, I don't want people who hold political office to be, you know, pro fucking genocide. So I do care in that sense. But I also am not like dying to hear their fucking statements. And it always comes off generally disingenuous and opportunistic for people to jump into the pool of opinions, swinging with the like
Yes.
pointing the fingers at other people making statements. Like, say what you need to say and say what you feel, whatever. But if you come into it with a you didn't say it right, you don't actually give a shit. You're just doing that to get political points.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it has nothing, it's not about how you actually feel about it, right? It's about you coming out and wanting to dunk on other people for your own political benefit. And I like just lost so much respect
It's
for
that
anyone
like,
who does that.
it's that like not we, but there's the like creation of the password that has to be said
Right.
in order to have any sort of credibility. And in this case, right, it's exactly what Hansen is saying for so many people, right? Like, if you say the thing, then we'll listen to you. But like, I have so much more respect for somebody who doesn't say anything at this point. Like, who is not willing to get in that fucking like dingleberry fest. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think more to come on that. And
As the genocide develops, yes.
Yeah.
as the genocide develops, man, it is this whole thing has really it's been a really bright highlighter on the bleak reality that is humanity. You know, like, I mean, for me, it's like what little I had left has been crumbled
I mean,
because of the
it
public
really,
discourse.
yeah, I think that like the shining a light on it type situation really kind of encapsulates the fact that a lot of people who outwardly or have in the past historically aligned themselves with progressive values have really shown themselves to be terrible, like reactionaries.
Yeah.
You know, and to avoid getting off of, you know, topic, because we are talking about the mayoral race, but I do think that there are these moments in history where a lot of people, you know, I can make a historical parallel to like World War I, where like a bunch of people who supported progressive values, as soon as their nation got involved, they threw all of that out the window and they went gung-ho patriotism, nationalism, right? Let's kill the other side. And this is, to me, that situation, not only because it is showing the true colors of people, but also because this very well potentially could be the linchpin to World War III if it isn't already. You know, we might be looking back at 20 years from now and realize that World War III started 6 years ago. But you know, yeah.
Well, I think in that vein, one of the things that I heard from a Black creator on TikTok who was basically like, yeah, one of the things I noticed after George Floyd and all that, you had a lot of people BLM, but they were just doing it because all their friends were doing it, and I just want to be like the rest of my friends, but they didn't have any analysis that followed that, so they continued with the shitty opinions towards politics and couldn't actually follow through on any of the things that should have been followed through. And I think that's largely what we're seeing here.
And it is very cool to see a candidate for mayor just lean right in. You know, super thoughtful, critical thinker, complex ideas, you know,
right.
nuance is key.
Say the password and then we'll respect you. Like,
yeah
yeah,
fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the last thing we want to talk about real quick before we say goodbye and happy holidays and we head into our holiday break is Kevin McCarty. And well, also Kevin McCarty and Steve Hansen, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But more so McCarty, because he was the one that got the endorsement.
Yeah, but
Like-
more so McCarty. So yeah, talk to us, Gabe. Tell us about this.
Well, Kevin McCarty got the endorsement from the Sacramento Central Labor Council, which, for those who are not familiar with the organization, if you're new to this area, or they are the essentially the representative for the AFL-CIO in Sacramento, right? They are the like the worker center for the region. So it's a huge deal to get an endorsement from the CLC because they represent, and I'm using gigantic quotation marks here because I do think that there's a lot of nuance to it, organized labor. They represent organized labor. So in getting that endorsement, McCarty essentially made himself the labor candidate. And then I think it was maybe, God, what was it? 2 days after he got the endorsement.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was like
the
almost
next day,
immediate.
like,
it might
yeah.
have been the next day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. McCarty and Steve Hansen attended a Greater Sacramento Urban League event at the Hyatt Regency at 12th and L, which is currently in the middle of a workers' dispute, and is listed on the website Fair Hotel as one that people should boycott because it is currently embroiled in a labor dispute. So there was a lot of contentious semantics being discussed with the accusation that Steve Hansen and Kevin McCarty actively crossed a picket line.
Well, there wasn't a picket line, so it
doesn't
count.
There
No
were
one was
people
standing out
actually
there.
picketing. Right.
There was no picketing.
And so again, just like showing your ass. I mean, the appropriate response in this situation from Kevin McCarty in particular, because he was the one that got the endorsement, was, I didn't know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I will do better.
Exactly.
Not hard at all.
That would have been it. Right? I should have known better, but that's not what he did. He actively engaged in the debate over semantics, and then posted a screenshot of this news article that was written by Teresa Clift on October 18th, which discusses the fact that they crossed an active picket line, and the problems that that McCarty's camp was getting because of that. He posted a screenshot of it, and the name of the article, or the title of the article, is "Major Labor Group Makes Endorsement in Sacramento Mayor Race, Sparking Criticism from Opponent." And he basically took a screen grab of it, put it on his Instagram, and was like, "Great news, guys, got the CLC endorsement," right? Like, so fucking tone deaf. Like, again, the appropriate response is, I didn't know, I'm sorry, I'll do better. But like, just being an ass. And I put the representation of organized labor in heavy quotation marks earlier, because like, a lot of people got a lot of feelings about the CLC and its leadership, but
Sure.
the AFL-CIO in general has represented a labor bureaucracy that has, for a very long time, actually like since its creation, represented very particular labor interests, and it has not always been on the right side of history, and has often become an obstacle for grassroots rank and file organizing and leadership. And there's a lot of careerism within the AFL-CIO and therefore the CLC as its local representatives. But all of that aside, it is still a big deal to get their endorsement. And there are obviously a tremendous amount of good people doing good work in that organization and the AFL-CIO in general. But like, yeah, just laughable. Like the response, the screen grab thing, like that was what I wanted to say.
The other thing that came out of this was like candidates being like, oh, it was candidates and other folks who were in attendance being like, oh, would have been nice to see you there, Flo. Like, it was this and that, like, it was a great night for, blah, 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 whatever. So the Urban League is an organization that exists to empower Black folks throughout and other marginalized groups, but it's about empowering marginalized folks, but Black folks are at the core of that. And to think that Flo, a Black woman, did not consider that it was like this was a thing to not go to the Urban League's fucking shit. Not that it's trash, but like, that it's a statement on her principles, right? It's an act of solidarity with workers to be like, I'm not going to go to this thing because of all the things we just talked about. And instead, a bunch of dipshits get in the comments and are like, really? You're going to lose your Black card for this because you didn't go to this event. And it's just like, y'all, let's can we get our shit together, please? I just love it here. Is the in summary, I love it here. I think that the closer we get to the election, the more we are going to get to see some really, really cool things. And I'm just looking forward to talking about all of them.
Like PJ said, I think before we started recording the show, the stark difference between the criticisms, right? Like Flo is criticizing McCarty and Hansen for something that they actively did. And Hansen criticizes Flo for a statement that an organization that lended their endorsement to her said, right? And his interpretation of that statement, not even their statement, right? His analysis of it, and what he was able to deduce from it. So it's just like, we're like, one of y'all is playing checkers. Yeah, one of y'all's playing checkers. Okay, and your opponent is okay. So,
well, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate, because like I said, in the different little snippets they have of questions about her on their Instagram, they're basically showing the direct contrast between them and how much more put together she has as far as her answers. She knows exactly what she wants changed because she's been dealing with the crappy side of it for so long. And so as a result, the one of the first things she said, I think it might have been even in her announcement day, was like, I don't plan to be an elected official forever. What I want to do is I want to come in here, change the way things are done. So that way it's more transparent. We get more people participating and we're more representative than we were the way we are currently, because it's not working. The methods that are employed to minimize public interaction with the elected so that way they don't have to deal with them is clearly meant to basically disenfranchise voters. And it's like she wants to do the exact opposite of that, address it, fix it once and for all, and that way we can go to a more representative form of local government where we can actually be heard, and where it's actually an interest to engage with us rather than a checkbox to be like, hey, did you talk to them? Yep, okay, done. did we talk to you before we started any of this? Nah, we don't want your input beforehand. We want you to help guide the process. We want to make sure that you know what we're going to do when it's almost all the way at the finish line.
Mm-hmm. And the implications of like not being a career politician.
Yeah.
The so many politicians, as soon as they get in office, are worrying about the financial security of running for office again. And in order for them to do that, they have to secure the support of moneyed interests, right? So and automatically kind of sell out a lot of their ethics and morals and everything that they said that they were going to do in order to do that. So it's refreshing to hear someone flat out say, you know, it is not my goal to be in public office forever, right? That's not why I'm doing this. And as any true democratic experiment should be, right? Like,
yeah.
It reminds me of like I remember hearing like a while back where it's like, you know, they're talking about the makeup of Congress and now almost everyone's a lawyer, and it's like, how come we don't have any plumbers here? And it's just like, yeah, we need representation from all classes.
Yeah, but we have women lawyers now, so
it's fine. Everything is good.
Congress went woke.
They're in their woke era. It's giving
it's giving rainbow profile.
It's giving diversity.
It's giving lots of kneeling and yeah. Well,
oh, God.
You know,
not the Kente class.
No.
That was
it's giving solidarity.
You know, well, we are giving time for a holiday break, yo. It's been a year. But yeah, I mean, I think more to come. The candidates are going to give us plenty to talk about. And we're going to head into a break. Let's see. We'll be back in January. Yes, we'll be back mid-January. That is not to say that you won't hear from us, because as it goes, there will be something that happens in Sacramento that requires a show between now and then. So we will probably drop some special episodes between now and then. But we're also going to be using this time, as previously stated, to find new folks to enter the co-host corral. We also want to bring on local grassroots orgs that are doing rad work in the community to just amplify and build awareness. And so if you are one of those people, or if you are if you know of an org that you'd like to sort of like dig deeper, like let us know. We really want to hear from the folks who are listening to the show. We want to give you what you want to listen to. So you can get at us at Shannon at voicesrivercity.com or Gabe at voicesrivercity.com. And we look forward to that. So our inbox is open for you. And
do not call and leave a voicemail.
Yes, because we can't hear you. May this holiday break be dingleberry free for everyone. Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here, man. I'm ready. That's the show.